Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are tackling, well, one of the biggest questions out there, the nature of mastery. For this, we dove into a huge stack of sources, biographies, psychological studies, you name it, all focused on really challenging that myth of the innate genius.
It's that idea, that some people are just born brilliant and the rest of us, well, we're not. And our sources just tear that apart. The whole mission here is to distill the actual process, the system, that people like Darwin, Einstein, Mozart used to acquire their greatness.
And it's not magic.
Not at all. It's a series of, repeatable strategic decisions. One source puts it perfectly. Greatness is acquired. They become geniuses through the seriousness of the efficient workman.
The efficient workman, I love that. It's so much more empowering. So what we found is this blueprint, really. We've organized it into 4 stages. First, finding your calling, your life's task. Second, the apprenticeship, which is this huge character transformation.
Then there's the third, which is mastering social intelligence. That one's tough. And finally, reaching what's called the dimensional mind of the master.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The journey kicks off internally with what the sources call your life's task. And this isn't just like a career choice.
No, it's more of an internal directive, a primal inclination. Think of Socrates' demon or Einstein talking about his inner voice. The first step is always inward. You have to connect, or sometimes reconnect, with that thing that just pulled you in when you were a kid.
And that connection is so critical because it cuts through all the noise, right? The social pressure, what your parents want, all of it.
Exactly. I mean, look at Albert Einstein. His life's task presented itself so clearly when he was just 5 years old. His father gave him a compass.
Right, the compass.
And he was just mesmerized. But not by the needle itself. He was obsessed with the invisible force that was moving it. That one little moment sparked a lifelong obsession with invisible forces and fields.
And that led directly to relativity. It's incredible. For others, though, it's less about an object and more of a feeling, isn't it?
Absolutely. Think of the dancer Martha Graham. She felt so frustrated by words. She felt language was just inadequate. Only when she started dancing did she feel truly alive and expressive. Movement was her primal language.
So once you've sort of located that inner compass, the next move is Darwinian.
Right. Occupy the perfect niche.
Which means finding a field that's not just interesting to you, but one that isn't already jam-packed with competitors. You need that freedom to roam, to set your own agenda.
Yeah, you need space to grow without being crushed by comparison right away.
Yeah.
A phenomenal example is the neuroscientist V.S. Ramachandran.
Oh, this story's great.
He found his niche by studying anomalies, things that just didn't fit. As a boy, he was obsessed with this weird seashell, the xenophora. It camouflages itself by gluing other discarded shells to its own shell. Just an oddball.
So he was drawn to the exception, not the rule.
Precisely. And later, he applied that same fascination to neurological oddities, phantom limbs, optical illusions, blind spots. He carved out a completely unique field for himself by focusing on what everyone else was ignoring.
So for anyone listening, if you're looking for your niche, maybe look at the data point your boss told you to ignore.
That's it. Look for the anomaly. But finding your task also means avoiding what the sources call the false path.
These are the paths you choose for, all the wrong reasons. Money, fame, pleasing your parents.
Mozart is the classic case here. His father, Leopold, was pushing him to write conventional music that would please royal courts and, pay the bills. It was a safe path.
But creatively, it was a dead end. Mozart felt totally trapped. He knew he had to write these complex operas.
And he finally made that fateful decision to leave Salzburg. That's the rebellion strategy. First, you have to realize you're on the wrong path. Second, you have to actively rebel. The sources are pretty stark about it. They say you have to slay the Leopold Mozart that's blocking your way.
Not literally, of course.
Oh, no, not literally. It's about declaring your creative independence.
Okay, so you found your calling, you've rebelled. But that inclination doesn't mean anything without a ton of work. And that brings us to the apprenticeship phase.
This is your second education. And the principle here is huge. The goal isn't money or a diploma or a title. The goal is the complete transformation of your mind and your character.
You go in scattered and impatient.
And you come out disciplined and focused.
Yeah.
Grounded in reality. You're mastering your own weaknesses first.
And that means you have to value learning over money. Benjamin Franklin is just the perfect example. He literally threatened to run away to sea to avoid his dad's candle-making business, which was really lucrative.
Because he chose a 9-year printing apprenticeship instead.
Yeah.
Much riskier, much longer.
Yeah.
But it gave him what he really wanted.
Access to books.
Access to book and the chance to become a writer. He was using a manual labor job as his personal university.
That kind of sacrifice comes up again and again. Martha Graham, she took a well-paid job in a Follies show for 2 years.
But she realized it was, and this is a quote, draining her of all of her creative energy. She saw the cost, fulfilled her contract, and swore she'd never do it again. The comfort was killing her calling.
The apprenticeship is also where you find a mentor. To, as the sources put it, absorb the master's power.
Yes, a mentor is a shortcut, a massive one. Otherwise, you waste years making mistakes they've already figured out. Goethe said a person of talent shouldn't be left alone. They need good masters who will make something of him.
But the goal is always to eventually surpass them, right?
It has to be. The dynamic between Michael Faraday and his mentor, Humphrey Davy, shows this perfectly, both the good and the bad.
Faraday took a low-paying job as a lab assistant just to be near him.
Made less than he would have as a bookbinder. But he got to see Davy's highly creative way of thinking up close. Like the experiment that proved diamonds were just pure carbon. He absorbed the mindset.
But then it gets complicated. After about 8 years, Davy starts to feel threatened by Faraday's talent, and he starts sabotaging him.
He does. He's keeping him under his thumb. He'd given menial tasks, like sending packets of dead flies for fishing lures, just to humiliate him.
So what's the lesson there? When does an apprenticeship turn into exploitation?
That's the mentor trap. You have to be ready for the separation. The master often comes to fear the pupil. You absorb their knowledge, but you have to recognize when the relationship stops serving your growth and starts serving their ego.
So what did Faraday do?
He didn't have a big dramatic confrontation. He just quietly started doing his own work outside of Davy's influence. It was a strategic, silent declaration of independence.
Okay, so you've made it through the apprenticeship, you've mastered your subject, but now you enter the real world and you hit the biggest obstacle of all, other people. This is where social intelligence comes in.
And social intelligence isn't about being nice or charming. It's about getting past what's called the naive perspective, those, childish ideas we have that people are always rational and fair.
They're not.
They're really not. It's about seeing people as they are, driven by ego, by envy, by all sorts of irrational things.
Benjamin Franklin learned this the hard way. Over and over again. Early on, he was just completely blindsided when he wrote the popular do-good letters. His own brother's response was vitriolic.
He had no idea he was unleashing that much envy. And then he fell for Governor Keith's empty promises of money for a printing press. Just totally naive.
So he had to learn to think inside his opponent.
Exactly. Later, when he was working for another printer named Keimer, he figured out Keimer's plan. Use Franklin to train new guys, then fire him.
So instead of getting angry or quitting,
He played chess. He used his position to build relationships with all the customers. He found a great assistant. He basically set up his own business while still working there. He left first, on his own terms. No emotion, just strategy.
it's all just maneuvers on a chessboard.
Wow. And we see this play out in how masters handle criticism, too. Like a tragic story of Ignaz Semmelweis.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. He was the doctor who discovered the link between doctors' unwashed hands and childbed fever. He was a genius, but his social skills were a disaster.
His superiors, like this guy Johann Klein, just scorned him. And instead of doing rigorous experiments and publishing his findings calmly, Semmelweis just got angry. He lectured, he argued, he attacked them. He looked self-promoting, not scientific. He failed to speak through your work.
So the lesson for anyone facing that kind of resistance is patience and proof.
Patience and irrefutable proof. And diplomacy. Compare him to William Harvey, who came up with the radical theory of blood circulation.
He knew it was a huge deal.
A huge deal. So he waited years to publish. He gathered overwhelming evidence. He brought colleagues in slowly to get them on his side. When people attacked him in print, he barely responded. And if he did, it was with polite, thorough, private letters. He won.
And then there's Goethe's strategy, which I love. Suffer fools gladly.
Right. He was stuck in this dull, gossipy court in Weimar. Instead of complaining, he just turned them into a science project. He'd sit there, talk very little, and just let them go on and on. He learned their character, their motivations. It built his understanding of human nature and made him a political master.
All right, so once social intelligence is locked in, you get to the final stage, the creative active phase. This is where you move beyond the rules you learned as an apprentice.
Exactly. It requires more boldness, more experimentation. And this is key, expanding your knowledge into related fields to create new connections.
This is where you combine the how and the what.
Yes, reversing that 500-year split between science, the how, and art, The what? The architect Santiago Calatrava is a perfect example. He combined the absolute rigor of engineering with his childhood love of drawing and sculpture.
And that fusion led to a completely new idea of what a building could be. His PhD was on the foldability of structures. He broke the rule that buildings have to be static.
He saw them as dynamic sculptures. That flexibility is what allows a master to develop that almost legendary intuition.
But it's not a miracle, right? It's not magic.
Not at all. It's a mix of the rational and the instinctive. It's a sudden and immediate seizing of what is real. But it's built on a foundation of immense practice.
Like Bobby Fischer, the chess master, his intuition came from internalizing an incredible number of patterns over decades of playing. He didn't see pieces on a board.
He saw fields of force. He could recall these long, complex sequences of moves instantly. It looks like magic, but it's just deeply, deeply practiced memory.
And we see the practical intelligence with the Wright brothers. Their competitors, like Samuel Langley, were focused on abstract theory, powerful engines, big budgets.
It was a top-down approach. The Wright brothers came from building bicycles. They focused on the feel of the machine,
Yeah.
control. They knew it was about the pilot being able to balance the plane just like a bike.
So it was their hands-on mechanical intelligence that made all the difference.
That's what won the race. Their focus on control, not just raw power.
So when you pull it all together, what's the big takeaway? Mastery isn't a gift, it's a journey. It starts with that inward search for your life's task, moves through that disciplined apprenticeship, demands you learn social strategy, and then finally blooms into this flexible, dimensional way of thinking.
And the thread that connects all of it is this search for the edge, for the thing that doesn't quite fit. Our brains are built to see pattern as comfortable, but real insight, real mastery, comes from the anomalies. Think back to Ramachandran and his weird seashell. So the question for you to think about is this. What are the anomalies in your world right now? What's the contradictory detail or the inconvenient fact you've been told to ignore? That might just be the thing that leads you to your own perfect niche and to ultimate mastery.